Welcome back to the 2015 Bridgewater's Finest Movie Awards, presented in conjunction with the very dark-faced Tyler from MediaDetour.com. There we go, there's the light. We are into the people section of our 2015 Movie Awards. In this video, we're going to be talking about our favorite actors, actresses, and directors of 2015. As you can see, the donut supply is running low, so we better get into this as quickly as we possibly can. We're going to start with our three best actors of 2015. Now, I think this is probably the case for you. I know it's the case for me. Do have some honorable mentions that I want to throw out first before we get into the actual recipients of the award. I have three honorable mentions in terms of my best actors of 2015. Honorable mention goes to Steve Carell in The Big Short, Michael Fassbender in Steve Jobs, as well as Chiwetel Ejiofor in Z for Zachariah. Now, I know Ejiofor was also in... it was one with, I think, not Sandra Bullock, Julia Roberts, and I can't remember what it was called, and I wanted to get around to seeing that movie, and I didn't end up getting to see it, and apparently he was really good in that too. But Steve Carell, Michael Fassbender, and Chiwetel Ejiofor are my honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to throw out before? Well, we might as well get
do that. Okay, my three.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Tremblay from The Room. He's the kid. Michael B. Jordan for Creed.
Right.
I think it's like the best he's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Hardy for Legend, Mad Max, and The Revenant.
Yep.
Only an honorable mention because while I like all those performances, there wasn't that one that really stuck out to me. Like in previous years, like The Drop. I loved him so much, and he had Locke, I think, that same year, so it was really good. But I really like Tom Hardy. He's he might be my favorite actor going today.
So those are the honorable mentions. Now let's get into it. Our top three best actors of 2015. We're going to be going back and forth on this, so I'm going to start by giving you my number three best actor of 2015. That is Will Smith. For his role both in Focus and his role in Concussion, primarily for his role in Concussion, where he plays Dr. Bennett Omalu, who is an immigrant to the United States who discovers chronic traumatic encephalopathy, I believe is the name of it, CTE. It's a very common head injury among football players, and the whole concept of it is right there in the trailer when he says repetitive head trauma chokes the brain, and that's the idea behind CTE. Smith had a great year. In those two roles, I think he had an underrated performance in Focus, and I think he's been nominated for the Globe in drama for Concussion.
He's underrated in Focus because people don't give a lot of credit to people playing cool characters.
No, it's
cool.
True.
It's not a lot of depth. He's just cool. He's just playing a cool character.
Exactly. And the one thing that I love about him in Focus is when he's losing focus, the camera loses focus, and that's an effect that I love.
I forgot
so much.
About that.
I mean, in Concussion, he's the focal point. He's really what makes that movie go. And his performance, I thought, was unbelievable. He's 100% believable in that role, despite the fact that he's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He can also play a role like this. I think he's a dynamic and underrated actor, and he's my number three best of 2015.
It's funny that Will Smith is underrated.
Dynamic, underrated actor.
Because it's Will Smith, wasn't he I don't know if he still is, but he was one of the most bankable stars.
Yeah.
In Hollywood. I don't know if he still is or not. But yet, it's does he really get the props that he deserves?
Doesn't seem like it. Although it's nice to see him get nominated for the Globe.
Yeah, because he's really a fantastic actor.
Absolutely.
My number three is Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs. Because goddamn, I'd be totally cool with him winning the Oscar. And I don't know if he's nominated for the Golden Globes or not.
Remember.
Just phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. When you got him going one-on-one with somebody, and just like his dialogue as Jobs.
Him and Seth Rogen is some of the most compelling stuff of the year. His performance, like whether the movie was great or not, his performance is like the stuff of legend.
Yeah.
Because he is so believable, and like his back and forth with certain people, and just him watching him be the tornado that he is, and that it's like sometimes I forgot I was watching a movie. Yeah. And the movie has faults. It certainly has its flaws that made me not dislike it, but like kind of to put it down a little bit. Yeah. It wasn't a great movie, but that it should have been, I guess. But Fassbender was just nothing bad to say about him. My number 2 is actually Stallone for Creed, because Rocky. And how can you not like? So emotional. He's not even like the lead in this, but every time he's on there, he's just. I don't even like to pick a movie twice for awards. Right. I did pick Michael Jordan for his role, but I had to give props to both. Nobody can play Rocky like him. I know he wrote it for himself, so that's partially why. Right. But like, I just can't even picture anyone else as Rocky. I'm sure there's actors who would do a good job. In 25 to 30 years, it's gonna be scary, because I think it's gonna happen in our lifetime. That somebody's going to take Rocky and try to remake it after Stallone's gone, with the consent of his estate and everything. I think they're going to try to remake it for a modern audience, and I fear when that happens, because I fear that it's going to totally fall on its face. Because I think you're right. I don't think anybody can play that role. No, that's not him. Because it's like the mannerisms of Stallone. That he may even get criticized for, because he's not like a fantastic actor in general. Right. Like, you don't look at Stallone's career and think, what an amazing actor. You think, what an action hero. Yeah, exactly. What a movie star. Like, he like kind of mumbles sometimes, and he doesn't always show the most range. What do you mean? My number 2, Best Actor of 2015. I talked about him a little bit earlier in an earlier video. Leland Orser for Faults as Ansel Roth, as I mentioned before, one of the primary world-renowned mind control experts in the world, who is tasked with trying to deprogram a girl who has been taken captive by a cult by the name of the Faults. And as I said, movie's basically two-person universe. The majority of the movie is him and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's sitting on a bed, he's sitting on a chair, and they're facing each other, and it's just dialogue. It's just all dialogue. It's long extended shots of dialogue, and it's so brilliantly put together. And Leland Orser plays his role, and as his character develops through the movie, as he becomes impatient and angry and terrified and all of the range of emotions that he goes through. For an actor that I had really never heard of before, I was like, this guy's money in this role. Look, I didn't want my top 3 to be people from the same movie. Right. So I did this, and then narrowed it down to 3. But it's the main cast of Straight Outta Compton. Yeah. It's like O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube, Corey Hawkins as Dre, and Jason Mitchell as Eazy-E. Yeah. The guys who played Yeller and Ren are also good. Mm-hmm. Like, I got, but they're not the main ones. No. And I had to, and here's my justification of why I'm cheating on your award show. Very scrupulous award show. I always mention the Spectacular Now as like this thing where it's like Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley. I'm not sure their individual performances are worthy of Oscars, but them together as like one single entity is like the most compelling stuff I saw that year. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I can't remember what else I saw. It was pretty damn but it's I remember claiming that year like they need an Oscar as a team. Yeah, because together they're always going to be brothers. We always gonna be brothers. And I bought that so hard. Absolutely. So hard. And that was because you had these like unknown actors. I mean, O'Shea is known because he's Ice Cube's. He's known because exactly. But like the other two might have been their first roles, which is funny because I actually saw the guy who played Easy on some cop show. I was like, that's Eazy-E! On Cops? They're so compelling together. They're dynamic together. Their chemistry is brilliant.
It is.
So I couldn't separate them. Like if I had to choose one,
I would probably
Dre or Easy.
Actually, I would have gone the other way. I would have taken O'Shea.
No, see, I wouldn't. I obviously I love him.
Right. No, I'm gonna make you pick your favorite child.
He's the least compelling of the three.
All right.
But if I had to pick one, it would be the guy who played Dre or the guy who played Easy. But I can't, and I didn't want it, so fuck it. So I went with the main cast of Straight Outta Compton.
I even said it in my review of Straight Outta Compton. I was like, if there was an Oscar, which I believe there should be, for Best Ensemble Cast Performance, I think that's an Oscar-worthy category. Maybe you guys don't. I do.
Yeah, because every year you get these few movies that are like an ensemble cast.
Exactly, ensemble cast. But like, if there was an Oscar for Best Ensemble Cast, those guys, the guys that played Ren and Yella, Paul Giamatti, the ensemble cast in this movie would have taken a steaming shit over 99% of the competition. Yeah. Because like this cast plays so well together.
Yeah. You feel like they are NWA, that they were that close.
Right. So very nice, very nice. I buy that for sure. And I will allow the cheat.
I appreciate it.
My number one best actor of 2015 is Tom Hardy. And the reason that I'm giving it to Tom, and for the exact same roles, for The Revenant, Legend, and I lost it, Mad Max. Jesus. I've already talked about Mad Max and then I totally lost it. And of course this is for body of work. This is one of those, we give allowances here for body of work versus... Yeah. No, it's true.
Like we kind of, like, we do either. Right? Like sometimes a performance is so great in one movie that we give it for one, but then sometimes there's like a body of work over the year where it may not be the one standout. Right. But it's like it's everything together.
3 very distinctive roles, 3 different time periods for these roles. Very distinctive. They each asked something entirely different. Yeah. And I mean, the one movie asked him to play 2 people. So I mean, it's 4 roles in 3 movies set in 3 different time periods, 2 real, 1 imagined, and no matter what he's given, he's exceptional in it.
He is.
Like in The Revenant, which is a movie that not only do I love for the title, but I love the movie itself. It's one of those things where it's a very subdued role because he's not the main person. But I would argue that he's better in that movie than DiCaprio is. Everybody talks about this being like, oh, this is the role. This is the one that DiCaprio is going to win the Oscar.
People hear stories, I don't know what's true and what's not, of how much he went through.
Right. It's true.
For this role and stuff.
But like,
I agree with you, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I look at it and I'm like, I'm not even sure DiCaprio was the best performance in his own movie. Yeah. So, I mean, I give it to Tom Hardy based on body of work and everything that, like, how much he had to mold himself in 3 very different movies with 4 very different roles. So, based on that, for me, my number one of the year is Tom Hardy.
Yeah, like I said, I think if my top 3 weren't so dazzling, like
I just flopped water all over myself, and I apologize.
Because Fassbender, his role was so dazzling, and
it's true.
Stallone, same thing, and the guys from Compton, same thing. If their like one role wasn't just so incredible, Hardy would have made my top 3. And if Hardy would have had something like The Drop this year, because I love him in Legend especially, because I love that he played the 2 characters. Yeah. And like,
he's my brother.
I loved watching him fight 2 characters, and he was easily. I loved
watching him fight himself.
Yeah, but he didn't have that one role to me that truly stuck out in movie greatness. And yes, I think his role in The Drop is movie greatness. I'm probably the only person on the planet. It actually reminds me a lot of Rocky. Yeah. So that's probably.
Yeah, there you go. There's our top actors of 2015. Now we're going to move on to our best actresses of 2015. You'll notice my water bottle has been refilled due to the magic of video editing. Now, we're going to get into best actresses of 2015. We're going to start it off, of course, with our honorable mentions like we just did for actors. 3 honorable mentions for me this time around again. For Best Actress of 2015, honorable mention goes out to Margot Robbie, both for Focus as well as Z for Zachariah. Nadia Hilker for Spring, as well as Jessica Chastain for The Martian and Crimson Peak.
I should have given like Chastain a nod.
And you know what, Jessica Chastain
forgot all about her.
So very, y'all forgot about Jessica Chastain. Because I'll be perfectly honest, I really struggled with actress performances this year, and he did too. I know. And so it's like it was a bit of a struggle this year. And we're not being sexist in saying that. It was a struggle for the actors too, but it was really a struggle for the actresses. So actresses were a struggle for us both, but those are my honorable mentions: Margot Robbie, Jessica Chastain, and just had to look check Nadia Hilton.
So here are mine,
yep.
I guess. Again, I apologize for any times I mispronounce.
Name mispronunciations.
Nerea Duhart for Estrella.
Okay.
It's like a first role. And
Okay.
she was good, and kind of like you did with Best Actress, like when you see an actor or actress that you've never seen before. And I'm not saying her performance was the most amazing thing ever, but I was like, all right, she might have a career. Yep. Anyway, Amy Schumer, because like I bought her as like a comedic performer, and like there was some drama in there. She did really well with.
Absolutely.
And my girl Emily Blunt for Sicario, who would generally be higher, but I love her in Sicario. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I think she's great in Sicario. Mm-hmm. Wasn't enough to get her in the top 3. Like last year, because she had like Into the Woods and Edge of Tomorrow. Yes. And that was enough to get her in for
Full Metal Bitch, which we still think is probably the greatest name for anybody anywhere.
And so she was amazing in Sicario. She's my girl. She's like my celebrity crush, my favorite actress.
Yep. All right, I'm going to let you start things off with your number 3 Best Actress of 2015.
All right, number 3, Brie Larson for The Room.
There you go. It's just Room. It's not The Room. The Room is...
I always say The Room.
Is Tommy Wiseau. You're tearing me apart, Brie Larson.
For Room, rather.
There you go.
A lot of it took place in a room, and then a lot of it didn't, because there was like,
Yeah.
And so she was forced to act really well with a kid, who I gave an honorable mention to, Jacob Tremblay. One of the better kid performances
absolutely
I've seen in recent years. But Brie Larson, I don't even care about Brie Larson. I like her. I like she's just an actress that I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Really liked her in this.
And she had a good ancillary role in Trainwreck too, because she was Amy Schumer's sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She had to do good work with a kid of all people, and she did it.
My number 3 Best Actress of 2015 is Daisy Ridley for Star Wars The Force Awakens as Rey. Because I think she was the standout performance of that movie. I like Finn, and I like, the pilot. I can't remember his name now. The Latino pilot.
I wouldn't give him anything.
No, definitely not. But she was really kind of the breakout performance in that, and of the new characters, I think she's the one obviously that's the most investment worthy. I think storyline wise, she's going to end up being the most interesting, even though the focus is kind of split between the two, because there's also a lot of focus put on Finn because of Finn's background and what he is and what he's trying to become, and is he going to become a Jedi? Is he not going to become a Jedi? I think it's fairly clear that Rey is going to be the savior of the Jedi Order as it goes down the line. And that's why she's so interesting to me, because I feel like we know where this is heading, and we kind of want to see where that character goes. But what she did with that character in this first movie, with her body language and with her expressions and just the way that she performed that character, because that takes a tremendous amount of balls to step in. It's a huge opportunity, obviously, but it's scary as heck, because you're becoming a new character in such thickly ingrained lore as you have in Star Wars. And I thought she did phenomenally well with it. So Daisy Ridley's my number 3.
I briefly considered her, but I think it was mostly due to the fact that I didn't have many other people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the performance was good. I don't go to Star Wars for my compelling performances.
No.
I could roll with like a breakthrough actress thing with her, I think.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Alicia Vikander for Ex Machina and her smaller role in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yep.
And had I seen The Danish Girl, I have no doubt she might have been number 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I didn't see the big movie, like, for her performance-wise.
Full disclosure, we have consensus because Alicia Vikander is also my number 2 for the same performances because neither of us saw The Danish Girl. It just didn't hold enough interest to me to want to see it.
Just a movie you didn't really feel like seeing. Like,
No.
I might have seen it if there wasn't a ton of other movies that I wanted to see more.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's all it came down to. It's just like we can't see every movie
exactly.
of the year, so we don't.
But yeah, no, Alicia Vikander, especially I would say for her performance in Ex Machina.
Yeah, well, that's the one, What I liked about her in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. actually is, like, when I saw the movie, I really felt like they nailed, like, the old-timey feel. Like, they're all three of them can pull off, like, these more old-timey, like you could put them beside, like, Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant, all these, like, legendary actors, and they wouldn't even feel out of place.
Right.
Especially, like, Henry Cavill, but we're not talking about... Like, they just have that look to them where it's like, I buy them in their time period.
Yeah,
and
totally.
kind of like an older feel. So I liked her in that. It's a smaller part. But yeah, Ex Machina is definitely the one of the two where she's like, she's more important and she does the better job.
And she is spectacular, and that's a movie where the ending was done pretty much just perfectly. Like, the payoff to that movie is excellent. But yeah, no, Alicia Vikander is very, very good in that. So
you said to me, not on video, that it was her year.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though she's not my number 1,
and she's not mine either.
And I could totally, like, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. My number 1, Best Actress of 2015. I think it's based on the way I've been talking. It's the year of faults. I'm going with Mary Elizabeth Winstead for her performance as Claire in Faults. I've already talked about Faults to the extent you know exactly why I'm giving her this award. Find Faults from 2015 and watch that shit because it's an excellent performance. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is my number 1 Best Actress of 2015.
Tim, you're going with, like, the lesser known.
A little bit.
And I'm going with the complete
Daisy
opposite.
Ridley. No.
I'm going with Jennifer Lawrence for Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 and Joy.
It's a Joy I didn't get to see, and I was so disappointed that I didn't get to see it.
I don't want to get too much into the movies by themselves. Joy's not an amazing movie. Right. Some people didn't like it. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's not like this amazing movie. But she's really good.
Awesome.
But she's always really good.
It's true, she is.
She's become like one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood, and for many reasons, for being an awesome, cool person.
Yeah.
Well,
and
awkward.
You team her up with Bradley Cooper, and she's just gold.
So she was amazing in Joy. And, like, I mean, like, Hunger Games might seem like a weird thing to give someone a performance cred, but she, like, carries it on her back.
Absolutely.
Like, she's so good. And, I mean, neither of us have really hid our love for the Hunger Games series. Especially me. Like, I'm a little more into it than you, I think. And she has shown so much growth even from the first one. And just in this one, she's plays such a good character, and she does it with so much depth.
Yeah.
That, like, that was enough for me to give her the nod.
I can buy that. Those are our top 3 Best Actresses of 2015, and we're about to come back with our Best Directors. You know what? Movies ain't shit without their directors. So that's why we're going to start talking about these directors. our top 3 best directors of 2015. Before we get into it, obviously honorable mentions coming, and I have to be a little indulgent here. I have 10 honorable mentions for best director.
You said we were only allowed to have like.
I know I couldn't. I couldn't, and I know I kind of sandbagged
well,
you.
Fine. I got 4. I had
right.
1 that I would list just in case.
That's
great. 4, but I could have had 10.
You fair game.
Yeah,
fair
you go
game.
first. Though,
all right, I'll go first because I'm just being. I'm being self-indulgent because there were so many great directorial performances this year and so many people that deserved to be mentioned. Like, we're looking at Alex Garland for Ex Machina. We're looking at Guillermo del Toro for Crimson Peak because it was a really, really fucking pretty movie. Scott Cooper for Black Mass put it together really, really well. Even Joss Whedon for Age of Ultron. Like, I mean, you've got to be talented to pull off a movie like that. Guy Ritchie for The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Alejandro Inarritu for The Revenant, Denis Villeneuve for Sicario, F. Gary Gray for Straight Outta Compton, George Miller for Mad Max, and Benson and Moorhead for Spring. So there were so many great directors this year. I had to give nods to all of them, and I do apologize that I sandbagged.
Because there was like a whole bunch of directors of even some lesser known movies that I was thinking about throwing in there, but I was like, I can only do 3. Well, okay, I wrote down 4.
There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna give my 4 ons. I'm giving Terrence Malick for Knight of Cups.
Okay.
A nod, and I want to just explain a little bit. I don't actually think Knight of Cups is a good movie.
Okay.
Terrence Malick is a director that is, like, if you were to like say to somebody, or somebody asked you, what's the best example of an artsy movie, like that really proves movies are art? Well, Terrence Malick. Just give them anything. Give them Badlands. Give them Days of Heaven.
Right.
Give them A Tree of Life. Just give them a Terrence Malick movie. It's like, this is art. This is pretty. Danny Boyle for Steve Jobs. The problems with Steve Jobs was not the directing or the performance.
Definitely not.
Steve Balderson, he did El Gonzo by himself, but he also co-directed Helltown, and I forgot to write down the name of the girl that he co-directed Helltown with.
Okay.
I like him. And this is a name I'm going to probably butcher. Miroslav Shabosh-Pitsky.
Okay.
So Slabosh-Pitsky, I don't know, whatever. For The Tribe, which was a movie shot entirely in sign language. Which actually wasn't a great movie.
Right.
I have some problems with that movie, and part of it is due to the silence, because I felt it was unnecessary.
Okay.
I like the idea, but it kind of muddled things.
So since I sandbagged you on the number of honorable mentions, I might as well let you lead off with your number 3.
My number 3 is your boy Denis Villeneuve for Sicario, which I actually like more than him.
Yes.
He's a Prisoners guy.
I am a Prisoners guy.
And I'm a Sicario
that's a great
guy.
movie. Yeah.
But we agree that Denis Villeneuve is... I mean, he hasn't been around real long. Or has he been around?
I don't think he hasn't been around in the mainstream.
Yeah, he's kind of just started to really hit now.
Yeah, and he is hitting like pretty much everything that he has done.
He's knocking him out of the park.
3-4 years, I've loved.
I think Sicario is just an example of just classic filmmaking, and it's a movie that will show up later, so I'm not going to say too much.
Right.
But Villeneuve is everything you could want from a director. He doesn't even necessarily do anything real flashy.
Right.
It's just solid. It's just a solid foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he works that hard, and so.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I always love when someone shows some love to Denis Villeneuve. Go watch Prisoners. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And Sicario.
We're gonna watch both. Make it a
Denis Villeneuve even. Finish it off with Enemy.
Yeah, I never got to see Enemy.
Yeah, I dug it.
I wanted to.
Weird juxtaposition between spiders and sex. My number 3 best director of 2015. It really is literally the year of faults. Riley Stearns.
My God.
Is my number 3.
So sick of faults.
Yeah, well, get used to it, champ. Very, very Kubrickian style in filming that movie, right down to the climactic scene in the bathroom. And just to make a movie that takes place essentially entirely in one room, and to make it be gripping, and to, because I think Riley Stearns either wrote or co-wrote the screenplay, so I mean responsible for a good chunk of the dialogue too, and to keep it compelling and to get those performances out of those actors. I mean, I've talked faults to death. It really was one of the best things that I saw all year. Riley Stearns, my number 3 best director of 2015.
If I didn't get so sick of like the year, then I would probably watch Faults. But now that like after these videos are done, I'm like officially done with it.
And that's it. Like that.
All right, so my number 2 is F. Gary Gray for Compton. He has a great name. Gary Gray.
He does have a great name.
Gary.
F. Gary Gray.
I can't remember. I should have really written this down, but I can't remember what else he's done besides Compton. But I remember thinking it was nothing fantastic. Like this is like he's a director who's probably done. I think he's done some decent things. I mean, have to check because I know I've seen some other stuff by him.
Right.
I think. Whatever. But this was a movie that he just was like. He probably will never make a movie as good as this.
I doubt it.
I feel like it's like he's going along and then bam, and then he'll probably go back.
He'll come right back, yeah.
But it doesn't matter because we're celebrating him in 2015.
Right.
And he brought out amazing performances from young actors.
Yep.
There's a sense of style. He's managed to mesh the music and the drama and everything in it. And he covers so much ground.
Yeah.
And he does, the pace is perfect. It's just everything you could want.
Because, like, it's one of those movies where you run the risk of, like, okay, we got to speed this up because we got all this ground to cover.
Yeah.
Like, all this in terms of time. And you run the risk of not giving things enough time to breathe.
Yeah.
And a lot of directors will do that. Will cut corners on shit like that. F. Gary Gray did not. Like, everything that is put in that movie is given the time that it needs and deserves to get over.
He struck a fair balance, I would say.
Yeah. My number 2 best director of 2015 is the director that I believe had the most balls this year, and that was J.J. Abrams for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And the reason that I think he had the most balls is because he took on Star Wars. After having taken on Star Trek, like JJ, I think, is one of those guys that's just like, fuck you, I'm doing this. And I feel like that's his attitude towards making movies. Because, like, he proved himself with the smaller, lower budget sci-fi stuff that he did earlier. Resurrect Star Trek. And then he was like, okay, then he just went and did that and resurrected probably it would be either the greatest or the second greatest sci-fi property probably in history. Yeah. All right up there with Star Wars. And then said, okay, resurrect the other one. And he said, okay, and he did it. and I mean, obviously it's not all him, but, and I mean, like, you know, he's working for the mouse now. I mean, he did such a good job with Star Wars because this was the one that would put him under the most scrutiny of his career.
Well, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, speaking as a Star Trek fan, at the end of the day, Star Trek fans are much more willing to accept less than Star Wars fans are. That's not a criticism of either side. But there have been some bad Star Trek movies. And fans have been more willing to accept that. Maybe it's the Shatner effect. I don't know.
Or at the very least, move on.
Yeah, fair enough. And people still haven't moved on from the prequel trilogy. So I mean, like, they're still on that game, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars fans are not willing to accept less. Ask George Lucas. They're not willing to accept that shit. They won't. They will mutiny, and that's why JJ is not only the ballsiest director of the year, but the fact that he took on Star Wars and did such a good job with it and was so careful with the series' roots and treated them with respect, but at the same time created a movie for this generation of Star Wars fans and new Star Wars fans, and everything that he did with that movie. I don't think he could have done better. I'll put it that way. And for those reasons and more, J.J. Abrams, my number 2 best director of 2015.
That's an interesting pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really give, like, I love Star Wars, the new one, and I don't really think to give it any like individual awards for anything that it does, except for maybe like visuals or something, right? Like something technical in that sense. It's like it's just all solid filmmaking, but none of it. It's like a movie that manages to not really go above and beyond in a lot of ways, but still manages to be an amazing movie.
My number one, Best Director of 2015. I'm going to throw the paper again. Matthew Vaughn for Kingsman: The Secret Service. For all the reasons that my partner mentioned earlier when we were talking about this movie, this was the action movie this year that had the most innovative and electric fight scenes that I'd seen, well, that we'd seen all year and that we've seen in the last few years. And Matthew Vaughn very carefully crafted this movie that was at the same time action-packed, dramatic, hilarious. It hits all of the areas that it needs to hit. That scene in the church is worth the price of admission all by itself. That scene in the church could be a short film in and of itself, and it would have been great. And one of the things that I really, really dug about it was the way that they used, and specifically him, because I think he had a large role in this as well, because I think he's done it before, the use of like speed up and slow-mo to create really, really interesting visual effects during the fight scenes. So Matthew Vaughn's my number one.
I never, I considered Vaughn. I don't know, I don't tend to give action movies the nod in Best Director for whatever reason. But you're totally right. My Best Director.
You're finishing us off. Give us a good one.
I'm gonna go Ryan Coogler for Creed.
Nice.
Because he took a property that, could have went really poorly. Yep. He did a fantastic job, and he's just a great director. Like, he's a name to look for. I don't know about I don't know how diverse he is. I saw he was attached to something, I think a little stranger, but I can't remember what it is. Okay. Because pretty much all he's done now is with Fruitvale Station, Problems of a Black Guy. Creed, Problems of a Black Guy. Like he's done the like kind of hood, or not even necessarily hood, because Fruitvale Station isn't necessarily with the hood. But he's done like that kind of drama. So I don't know if he's diverse or not yet, because we haven't seen anything from him.
Right.
But like he does that really well.
Okay.
Because Creed is about a guy who's doesn't, his dad is dead and he's kind of in the gutter, getting in fights and whatever. He's just, he obviously has been able to pull a lot of good things out of people. Like he pulled the best performance out of Michael B. Jordan that I've seen. Yep. He didn't really have to try too hard to pull it out of Stallone. But you got to give credit where credit's due. He's still the director. He's still overlooking everything. And he just pulled it all together really well.
Cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Creed.
Boxing. All right, folks, there we go. Those are our best actors, best actresses, and best directors of 2015. Thank you very much for watching this and all of the videos, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. We're going to be coming back with our top 5 worst movies of 2015. We're getting into the big ones, folks. They're just around the corner. Come back with us in just a few minutes.